That looks great. Right at the second line there. And we're gonna call it. Hey guys, now that I'm back from Colorado, I definitely need to do an oil change on the Himalayan. So I've got all the equipment here and I was just about ready to get started, and I figured why not document it? That way if any of you are watching this trying to decide whether or not you're able to do an oil change yourself, you'll see that it's actually a really simple job and you only need a couple of basic tools, and then obviously the oil and a couple of parts that you can just order online from Royal Enfield. So it's a really simple job. It's not even that dirty, so I'll walk through it with you. But before I do that, I also want to point you to a website. As you can see, I've got it actually up right here. There's another Himalayan owner out there who put together a fantastic step-by-step on how to do this, and this is what I've been using to do my oil changes, and it's great. So I'll put that link, I guess, below, but also up on the screen. And then in the meantime, I'm going to walk over here and I'm just going to show you what I have laid out. Very basic stuff. Some rags, some gloves. This is the oil I'll be using, the Modal 5100 semi-synthetic. I have a 21 mil wrench, and then a 10 mil socket, and also a 10 mil screwdriver socket, just because there's a couple spots where it's easier to use the screwdriver handle. Couple of rolls of shop rags there, and then I've got the filter, the gasket, which I ordered online, and then it also comes with these little replaceable copper washers that you just swap out when you do the oil change. I've also got some aluminum foil because I'm going to try and funnel the oil down into my my little collector here, because it does leak out a little bit if you're not careful. So so that's it. As you can see, the first step is basically just getting it lined up and then getting it on the side stand so that the bike is leaning, because this is your main drain plug right here. So if the bike is leaning this way, you definitely get most of the oil to drain out. So first step will be to unscrew that drain plug and let all the oil drain out. So let's go ahead and do that. So first step is to take this drain plug off and let it drain completely out. So I've got gloves on, I've got rag ready, I've got my 21 mil wrench here. Get under here and get that drain up. There we go. We've got it started already. One of the things that it talks about in a lot of the how-tos on doing your oil is just be really careful. All of these bolts are aluminum, so they're very soft, so just never over tighten anything. Alright, so I'm going to try and hand loosen this now. There it goes. Alright, look at that, beautiful. And as you can see, there's a little washer on here too, nice and clean. We're going to set that aside. And while this is draining, I'm also going to go get my Loctite out to have that handy for when I put all these back on. After this completely drains, will be to take off this entire cap here and pull out the little oil screen and clean that off. But we're going to just wait and let it drain completely. We might as well. There's no rush. But I'll tell you what, the first time I did the oil change, I had it on the center stand and made a huge mess. So putting it on the side stand and letting it sort of tip out like this is a huge plus. So this box here comes with two things. It comes with a new filter, and it comes with the gasket. Now on older models, there's an O-ring. On the newer models, they use the gasket. And then also what comes with this is this little pouch with some washers that you need. So I'm just going to open this up and show you. So if we look, there's just a couple of different washers in here, and it's this copper one that actually acts as a gasket on the other side. So we will end up using that one as well. All right, I'm going to try to do Kind of a nice little setup there. Look at that. It's going to drip right into the aluminum foil and then right down into the... I think that might work just swimmingly. Bring this around so you can see what I did there. All I did was I put a little bit of aluminum foil to kind of protect it from leaking all over. And what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to take off the this plate here, loosen this up, and there it goes, nice and loose. No issue. There was Loctite on there, so it's a little, you know, you'll feel it break. Same with that one. A little stubborn there at first, but no problem getting it off after that. Boy, that aluminum foil works really nicely, I must say. You can see the O-ring in there. It looks totally fine. I mean, as it should. The bike's only got 3,500 miles on it. It is storming pretty good outside right now here in Flagstaff. We're getting some good monsoon rains. Alright, now comes the extra dirty part. There's a little screen in here that we want to pull out really gently. There it is. Beautiful. Just want to make sure. Now this has an orientation. There's a slight taper, so the taper end always points inward. So I'm just going to wipe it off. I have this container of oil. It's a little bit left over from the last oil change I did. It has just a little bit left in it, and what I'm going to use it for is just use it as a source of some clean oil. So I'm just going to pour a tiny little bit on here since it's clean, and I'm just going to use that to lube the O-ring a little bit. Just make sure it's lubed with some clean oil. Oh yeah, that's looking nice and clean. So we're gonna just go ahead and set that there. Clean this off nice and good. Put that back in there. Looks beautiful. Look at that, perfect fit. And then those two bolts, we will want to put some blue Loctite on those. So we're going to do that really quick. Just a little bit on each one. Get that first one started. Get that one going. All right. Started. And then we can start cranking it in. Again, hand tight only. Very, very, very lightly tightened. So hand tight, hand tight. Clean off the bottom. We want to put the drain plug back in, and this is where the copper washer comes into play. The little kit that it comes with an additional crush washer, copper crush washer. So you just want to check it and replace it if it looks bad with the one that it comes with, and we'll go ahead and do that. All right, let's get that cleaned off. One last wipe off, and then screwed in. Now we got a little bit more room to work. We can go ahead and get her all buttoned up. All right, lightly tightened. All right, so now that everything's on there, I'm just gonna give it a little bit of extra torque on each of these bolts. Again, not too much, sort of aggressively hand tightened, if that makes sense. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then here we'll do the same. That's pretty good. All right, so I think we're good. Doesn't need to be too tight. All right, so this side is done clean. The bike's got no oil in it right now. So let's move on. As you can see, the oil is completely empty now. Same story here. I put a little bit of aluminum foil up here and just sort of wedged it in so that it will hold its place and hopefully drain into the canister I have here. And then in the meantime, I'm going to use my 8mm socket here with a shorter extender on it, shorter socket bit, and start loosening these. And these will also be a little tight because they did have Loctite on them. So I just need to make sure I give them a decent amount. Yep, so that one just broke. That one just broke. And this one's definitely tight, but it's moving now. And then we'll get this last one. Oh, there it goes. All right. So what's in here is your oil filter, and I'm applying pressure to the cap because it is spring-loaded and it will not pop off. Now the top and the side bolts are short. The last bolt is long, and it takes a while to get it all the way out because it is a longer bolt. So just remember that the long one goes in the top or in the bottom right. Okay, I think we might be fully out. Here we go. Beautiful. So see, that's the long one. We'll clean those, and then there's the gasket, which you can see right there, and then the cap. So we'll clean all that. In the meantime, I'm gonna just let this ooze a bit, clean up my garage floor a little bit here, and see if I can't pull this out. It's a little bit tricky getting it out. Kind of have to, there we go. All right, so it goes in gasket side in. So I'm just gonna set that on the tank there and let that drain out. Kind of give it a nice little wipe down in there. So you can see in there, you know, it looks totally good, nice and clean. No oil obviously in the window, but looking good. So I've got a nice clean rag here, and I'm just gonna clean this all off. Clean. You can see where the old O-ring used to go on the older version. I'm not quite sure why they switched from an O-ring to a gasket, but they have. So we've got the new filter here. What I'm gonna do with it, I'm just gonna pour a little oil on it just to get it kind of lubed up. There we go. Nice and lubed up. Pour a little in the middle. Yeah, nice and lubed up. Let that sit for a minute. Everything lines up. So that's nice and solid. It's in there. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get this prepped. So we've got the new gasket. We're just gonna set that in. We're gonna get our bolts Loctited, if that's a word. I'm using the screwdriver because it's just faster to get things started. That's pretty hand tight, and then that's pretty hand tight. So everything is hand tight right now. A little star pattern, you know, just go around. Nice and clean, get this thing off. And really didn't lose that much oil onto the bike. You want the bolts tight so that they properly grip the gasket there, but you don't want it overly tight. So I'm just gonna kind of give them a nice hand tight. Yep, feels good. Same with this one, I'm just gonna nice hand tight it. Yep, feels good. And then this one, same story. They got Loctite on them, so they shouldn't be going anywhere. So now that all that's done, I'm gonna take the oil cap off here, which is my fancy schmancy custom oil cap. Apparently this is a custom. I don't know how I got it, but sure, I'll take it. I'm just gonna set that over here, and I've got a handy dandy little funnel here. You know you've done it right if you've used just under 2 quarts. So like I said, in this, I had maybe 100 mils left, maybe, when it was full, so it's maybe just 50 now. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour a full one in because we need to get started here. Love these because they have little pour spouts right on them. Pour it right in. I don't see any leaks anywhere under here, which is good, but I'm going to wipe it all off and make sure of that. You can actually see that one quart did show up a little bit in the sight glass. So it is showing up, but again, the bike is cold right now. So I'm just gonna continue to clean this. Looks good over here. Well, with that all emptied out, I'm gonna go ahead and seal this guy back up. All right, so here's where it gets a little bit trickier. So now we want to fill it up to that second line, let it settle, and then we'll start the bike up. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, I'm using the Modal 5100 15W50 semi-synthetic, exactly what it calls for in the owner's manual. I know a lot of you guys use fully synthetic. Even the dealership tried to put BMW oil in it, and I said, nah, it's cool. I'll stick with what I'm using. Again, first fill up to that second line, start it up, let it run for about 30 seconds, turn it off, let it settle for a little bit, just a few moments, less than 30 seconds probably, and then fill it up again to that second line. As expected, no oil in the sight glass. We're gonna let it sit for a minute and then fill it up to the second line. That looks great. Right at the second line there. And we're gonna call it. And if you look at what we've got left in here, you can see it's about 150 mils or so. So there you go. The last thing we need to do, which I hope will actually work, is we need to reset the maintenance light. So I had the bike in for maintenance a little while ago and they already adjusted the valves. So I don't really need the 3000 service because they already adjusted the valves and I just did the oil. And I've had everything else. I sort of went over and checked everything else. I had to replace a light bulb and things like that, and everything else is fine. So I need to reset that check engine blinker light, and I think all that requires is holding down the select button when you turn it on. So let's go ahead and try that. There it goes. It just went off. So all I did was held down select while I turned the bike into the on position for about 10 seconds and the maintenance light just went off. So that technique even applies for the 2021 US model with the ABS. So there you go. Mission complete. Let's fire it up one more time, make sure everything's fine, and call it a day. And that should fill back up to the second line. Great success. So feel free to ask questions, but that was it. It was very straightforward. It took me, 30 minutes to do, so, and that was with narrating and everything. So very, very, very basic procedure. So thanks so much for following along, and I hopefully this was helpful and now you guys feel comfortable doing this yourself. And I can also tell you that you can buy the oil filter kit with the washers just on eBay, or just Google around for it, you'll find it. So but I can put those part numbers as well, but it kind of depends on your model of Himalayan, because yours might come with different gaskets and such. So just make sure you Google the right model, the right year, and it's really easy to find the parts. So there you go. Take care, be safe everyone.